I'm still moved by it. It's like I'm watching it for the first time. I mean, it's an incredible journey, and it's so good to be able to see you come out the other side. What made you want to document this process whilst it was happening?
Yeah, well, I think I was reluctant to at first. I remember on the very first day when I'd been diagnosed, it was just the last thing I felt like doing was picking up the camera and, like, as you said, ever the content opportunity, but I was like, nah, nah, not today. And my friend encouraged me then and there on that first day, just said, I really think if you could just find some time to just go off to your room and just put your thoughts down, I think it would be really good for you to do and helpful to have down the track. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to. And they kept encouraging me, and I went and did that. And that's that first opening shot of the video. I do feel scared, and it was overwhelming to do it. And I think there were so many times when I didn't want to film, and, like when you've got no hair, no eyebrows, you're not really feeling at your most attractive. I didn't want to, but, and also encouraged by a really dear friend of mine, David Clune. He said, just film, just get it. You don't have to do anything with it, and I didn't share anything online until I was sort of well out of and in remission. And I knew I was on the other side, because I didn't really feel safe to do that at that point. But I'm so glad they encouraged me just to do it and just to start. And Dan Parsons, who's on the call tonight. Hi, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan, and Natasha Pitziger, who pulled all my friends together. And they all went and got me some equipment to go with my phone. So they got me a gimbal and this beautiful leather bag, and they got me a microphone and a whole bunch of things that I could, wherever I went, take it with me. So but in time, I think I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process of it. And it also, it gave me that distance from what I was going through. It was a distraction, but also I could still be doing something and doing a creative project, and like in the raw footage, it's funny when I go through it now, there's lots of moments where I'm sitting there and I'm so sick and I've got chemo going in me, and I'll say, oh, can you turn the camera around? Actually, other shots, I'll be directing from my chemo chair, and it was a nice distraction.
I mean, we say ever the content maker, but when you are a creative, right, you enjoy doing this. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, so feel free to disagree, but you enjoy doing these things. It's something that you would do in your spare time anyway. And in a lot of ways, sometimes, speaking something or writing something is actually a cathartic process. Did you find that making the video and then also deciding to turn it into a book? Was it a form of therapy for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think my beautiful friend Marieke is on the call tonight, all the way from Holland. And when I first got sick, Marieke actually sent me The Artist's Way, and it's a brilliant book. I don't know if anyone has ever done it. Comment in the chat if you have.
Yeah, and please comment in the chats if you have some questions as well, or anything you'd like to bring up, because we can see. I should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry, Bri.
Marieke is an amazing illustrator and artist, and she's on the call. Everyone can see her there. Hello, Marieke. And she sent me The Artist's Way, and it's a 12-week course about reconnecting with your creative self, by Julia Cameron. And it was this nice synergy that I actually had 12 weeks of chemo. And it was such a brilliant gift to give me. And she just sent it to my house ordered it online. So I received it just as I started chemo. And I started journaling religiously every morning, doing a process known as The Artist's Way. So if you've never heard of it, what it is, basically, the morning pages, is when you get up first thing in the morning, before you do anything else, you just do a brain dump of 3 pages, and you just get everything that's in your head out onto paper. And the idea is that in time, it really helps you get sense of what you're doing, and it clarifies your thoughts. And I think really, Marieke, I just thank you so much for sending me that beautiful book and for that kind, loving gesture, because really, I think that was where the seeds of this book were planted, in that it reconnected me with how much I love writing, and that gave me the confidence that I could write. And so when Kelly and Lou reached out and said, hey, we think this can make a beautiful book, I actually felt like it was something I could do. So yeah, a huge acknowledgement to you for sending me that beautiful book.
All right, massive clap for Marieke. Yeah, we're acknowledging the people along the way. Yep.
Yeah. And the other thing that she did for me, which was so beautiful, was in that first week, she drew me a beautiful little postcard, which made it into the book in terms of the subject. And it just said, some things don't have to be understood, just accepted. And it was the most powerful idea to take through that first week of that major upheaval. And I write about it in the book. She shared with me the Serenity poem about, finding the courage to accept the things that you cannot change and understand what you can change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
And it really, it just really helped me steer the course that first week. And whenever my mind would run away, I'd say, oh, don't need to understand this. I'm just going to accept it. Like, let's just get on with this. Let's get on with this IVF and chemo show,
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the book. Murdoch Books approaches you, presumably saying something along the lines of, we'd love to work with you. Would you like to write a book? What do you think? What are you thinking in that moment? Is it an immediate yes? Are you somewhere in between? What's your thought process?
I think it was an immediate yes. I was really excited by the concept, followed by a, oh, how the hell am I going to do that?
Right.
But I think, like the team at Murdoch was so, they were just guided me, they knew that I hadn't written a book before. So I think after going through cancer and everything that I'd been through, I thought, well, I'm sure everyone says writing a book's really hard, and I'm sure it is. And it had it is a long process and it takes time to do it. But I think one good thing out of the experience of cancer or anything like a big shakeup like that is it does embolden you a bit, and I write about it in the book that you're like, well, it's not cancer. Like, I'm sure I can figure this out. Lots of people have done it before me. And I was just excited. And when I came to writing it, as you said earlier, Jan, I just felt like I had thought about the content of it. And I had so many conversations, and there was just so much wisdom that I had picked up along the way from people that had shared with me that had made the write easier, that it kind of just poured out of me when I got around to writing it. I just couldn't wait to write it. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's been out for a while now, and just in case some people don't know, it's onto its second print run. If you joined late, I think it's number 26 on the Australian bestseller list. If someone from Murdoch just wants to confirm that by putting up their hand. If not, I'm happy. Yeah, number 26 on the Australian bestseller list. So people are reading this, and people are wanting to read this. Why do you think it is having the impact that it's having?
It's probably a question for everyone listening along that's read it. Would love to hear your thoughts on it, really. But I think I just really wanted to create I kept going back and imagining what would have been helpful for me at that very beginning period, and all the things. I had so many wonderful, wise and kind friends in my life that had shared so generously with me, and it helped so much. And I just thought, if I could bottle that up and put it into a little guidebook that I wish I'd had at the beginning, what would I want to be in that book? And I think the other thing that really helped is actually, as I was writing the book, I was feeling really unwell for the whole period. So I had pretty bad chronic fatigue for the entire time I wrote it, really. So I'd wake up most days, I felt really exhausted, I felt really nauseous. And while that was not fun, in a way, it made me really interrogate every single thing that went into the book. So I think it's written from a place of truthfulness. And, as I've always done with the viral sort of video content I've made, I'm always thinking of that end user. I'm thinking of that person, how it's going to be helpful to them or connect with them. I'm not just thinking like, these are the things I want to say. So
yeah. Who was that person? Did you have a person in your mind when you wrote this book?
A lot of people have connected with me on Instagram that have followed my cancer journey. And so I have literally step by step helped guided a bunch of people that I will, in text messages back and forward. So I was picturing all those girls, and I say girls and some young men as well, but it's been largely women that have connected, I think, with my story. And they were the people that I was thinking of. And when I had them say to me, oh, I can't believe how much that has helped. And the beautiful Amanda Lotier, who's on the call tonight, who's an amazing designer and has been really a wonderful friend throughout this whole creative process. she would snap, when I went to write the book, she went and screenshotted all the messages I'd sent her that had really helped her. And she's like, this has got to go in. And this was so helpful. And this was a shift moment. And this, and so I feel like through the process of doing that, I had practice of the things that were really connecting and helping with people, and the things that people had shared with me. So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's such a varied book. It's like, it sits somewhere between a memoir and an advice column and a recipe book, but it is, in so many ways, it is full of those surprises and things that you don't think of. Like, I think there was a recipe in here for your mum's bliss balls. And yeah, it would be really lovely if you did make bliss balls for somebody who was going through this. And I think that, there would be people who would sort of just have no idea that that's a really good way of approaching someone who they have just found out is sick. But it's also, it takes elements of the friendships that you've made as well. And I know that one of your good mates, Jenna, has written something, or has said something to you that you decided to put in this book and that has ended up in this book. Talk us a little bit through that.
Yeah, well, Jen is here with us tonight, so she's going to be joining us, which is very exciting.
Hello, Jenna.
Hi, Jenna, and I'm just going to introduce Jenna. Jenna contributes a chapter to the book, because when I first got sick, so Jenna is the big sister of my best friend in the world, Nikki Rumney, and the Rumneys they're sort of this magical family. Everyone that meets them and knows them loves them, and they're just pretty exceptional human beings. And when I first got diagnosed, I didn't actually know many people that had cancer. In fact, I knew no one. There was one young guy that I'd worked with many years before, the beautiful Luke, and I write about him in the book. And I think I saw Luke jump on the call. So say hello in the chat if you're here, Luke.
Hello, Luke.
Oh, there's Luke. There's Luke and Beth. Hi, Luke and Beth. And Luke, I write about it in the book. Luke became like a superhuman person to me that I could just call at any time. And Luke, love you, Luke. You sent, and hello, Beth. And they've just had a beautiful little girl and got married. So congratulations. But Luke had been through testicular cancer many years before, and we'd never really talked about it. But I called him when I first got diagnosed, and he just became this superhuman that I could call. And he just got it straight away. And he just gave me so much wisdom and so much strength in those first few weeks, and also sent me a beautiful care package with a teapot and tea and notepads, and it was just gorgeous. And one of the other people I reached out to was Jenna. So Jenna, not only did I said, Jenna's been dealing with really debilitating, at times, chronic fatigue for the last 15 years, but has carved out an incredible life. And she lives in the Daintree rainforest. She rears baby joeys and animals. She runs a Daintree ice cream company. She dives with sharks, comes from this amazing family. And Jenna not only gave me advice and time, but she actually made a little book of thoughts for me, scattered with beautiful images of the little animals that she rears in the Daintree. And it just was the most thoughtful and gorgeous gift to give to a friend, but it just helped me so much as well. So Jen, thanks for joining tonight. I know you've had a rough week health-wise, so thank you for making the time. And yeah, we'd just love to share some of your wisdom and sunshine with the room. And thanks for being here, firstly, because I know
thank you for having me. I'm on Gugu country up in the far north as well, so I just wanted to pay my respects there, and also thank Briony for having me contribute a little section of the book, and for trusting me to be a voice for the people with chronic illnesses or disabilities that aren't just maybe a bump in their road, but fundamentally change how they need to navigate life going forwards. So yeah, as Briony said, I kind of started my journey with illness about 15 years ago. I was a young marine biologist, bit of an adventure junkie, traveling around the South Pacific with some friends. And I ended up just getting very ill with the virus. We happened to be on a remote island, so I couldn't get medical attention for about a week. And it had progressed quite far by the time I got off. But like any of us, I just thought, I'll go to the doctor, get some antibiotics and smash it and continue on with life. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I essentially never got better. And after kind of going to doctors all over Australia and searching for answers to what was making me so sick, I finally got the diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, which was the one I really didn't want. It's a very misunderstood disease. It's problematic even with the name. You know, everyone experiences fatigue. I think it's hard for someone who hasn't had something like this to understand it. I know I certainly was ignorant and probably judgmental a little bit to people who I may have met who had it, and just kind of thought, we all get tired, you know, maybe I have a bit of chronic fatigue, you know, I'm tired all the time. It's not that. It ranges for everyone. There's a spectrum as well, but 75% of people with it can't work and 25% are bedbound. I've been in both those camps over the 15 years. Fortunately, I'm doing quite well at the moment, and, you know, able to work and have, you know, a bit of a social life and still partake in some fun stuff. But everything has a cost when you've got a chronic illness like this. So, you know, there's nowhere I would rather be than talking to you guys tonight, but there will be a toll that has to be paid. So probably the next few days I'll have a crash, and that looks different for everyone. So for me, you know, do you want me to go into that? No, it probably doesn't matter. But anyway,
it's like you said, it's then having to navigate that in, you know, to make space for this tonight. That means
it's just a constant juggling act. And I guess that one of the silver linings, there are many that have come out of it, is that you don't have time for the crap. You don't have time for envy or for like comparing yourself or competing or superficial things so much. Like you tend to just know how precious your energy is and only want to spend it on the things that fulfill, that make you feel like you're living a worthwhile life and connecting with humans and, you know, giving back and doing all those things that make a good life. So I think for me, one of the things that I talk about in the book is it's kind of hard to connect the dots sometimes looking forward. You can only do it looking backwards. And the stories we tell ourselves are very important. So it's easy to kind of just think, oh, my life was good and now it's bad, you know, and just look at events in our lives and judge it like that. But everything that happens, we weave a narrative around everything that happens in our lives. And those experiences shape us. So by kind of looking back on my experiences, and I've had a lot of time to do that because, you know, I get very bad migraines and vertigo. So I have to lie in a dark room and have no stimulus. So you are left with your thoughts a fair bit. And I've been able to go back through the events of my life and kind of see that actually, yes, I've lost some things, but I've gained things of much greater value, you know, like characteristics like compassion and patience, resilience, and less of a need to kind of accomplish things or serve my ego, but more reach out to others, connect with others, and kind of leave a legacy when you can, of something that you're proud of, and hope to make the world, you know, that little bit better, even through a tiny act. Like Briony mentioned, I raise orphaned wildlife. That is a drop in the ocean. It's not much, but to that little animal, it means the world, and that helps me to fill my cup and feel like I'm doing something meaningful.
Amazing, Jen. Oh, so beautiful. And one of the things that you shared in the book that we ended up pulling out a full quote of, because it was just, I think, such a helpful and pertinent thing, and it was a big mind shift moment for me. Can you just share with everyone your advice you gave to me around, you don't have to be healthy to be happy?
Yeah, that actually took me an embarrassingly long time to learn. So for years, I was obsessed with getting better. I just wanted to get back to my life. And this was a detour from my life. I didn't realize that this was the stuff of life. This was where the growing happens. And so I kind of realized, after hitting it time and time again and falling back down, that you can be happy right now. You don't have to future date it to some other event. For me, that was health. For you, it may have been health as well. But for other people, it might be, you know, when they're financially secure or when the pandemic's over. But you can look for and find joyful, meaningful parts of life right now. And yes, there may be limitations. That's part of the human experience. Everyone suffers and experiences roadblocks, but it's how we handle those circumstances that matters. And yeah, I mean, we're proof that I know you're still struggling sometimes with your health, and, you know, my chronic fatigue is a constant struggle, and we just have to grow and adapt as best we can along the way, and let go of trying to control things and be okay with uncertainty, and also remember to have fun and, you know, be joyful and not take things too seriously along the way. I mean, of course, things are very serious, but it's also good to just step back and kind of, you know, laugh at the absurdity of life sometimes, and remember to just, yeah, connect with your ones close to you.
Yeah, and it's so true, Jen, and thank you for everything that you taught me. You made my journey so much more doable, and I'm so glad that we, you know, could share your wisdom with a much bigger audience now as well in the book. And
I catch you. I mean, talk about inspirational, Briony. I think this like, look how many people are here. Look at the sales. You're a testament to what you can bring out of a bad experience, and I feel like you've just nailed it with this book. You are all throughout it, like your personality just comes off the pages, and it's so personable, and it's funny, and it's quirky, and then it feels like a cup of tea with a best friend. When I sit down with it, I get that nurturing feeling, and that's, I think, what you're after, and you've just nailed it, and I feel so privileged to have been included. So thank you.
A couple of people in the comments as well, just saying to the people at Murdoch, when are you going to ask Jenna to write her book? So if you want to confirm now, that might be good.
Yeah, I've got a contract right here, actually. I'm ready to go.
Love it. And how many stars would you give this book, Jenna, out of 5?
I'd give it 11.
That's a great rating.
Thank you, Jen. And I just wanted to share with everyone as well, because I think it's so pertinent to COVID, that Jenna rang me. I think I was in about week 6 of chemo. And I remember you checking with me, Jen, and you were like, are you watching any comedy at the moment? And I was like, no, I haven't watched any. And it was just such a good reminder to be so careful about what you're feeding in and consuming when you're in a tough time or just in lockdown and feeling all over the show, you know. And actually, if people could share in the chat, I'd love to hear what your favorite things to watch. I mean, other than Fran on the ABC last night.
Obviously.
Show. I mean, that goes without saying. We don't need to put that in the chat. But it's funny you mentioned that, Bri, because that was one of the bits of advice that you gave to me, and it was during coronavirus. And I said, oh, you know, like, I'm having a hard time. I'm feeling like really boxed in. And you said, are you watching anything funny? And I said, no, I'm watching The Bridge, which is Nordic noir, which is absolutely the complete opposite of funny. And I just remember thinking, that is such a good piece of advice that I would not have ever thought was contributing to.
I know. And you're a comedian. How funny is that? Yeah. You're a presenter. You're a comedian by trade, and you wouldn't think to, oh, I should watch.
No, but I'm miserable on the inside, is what I'm trying to say. So that's, you know, that's what that is.
That's true, though. I think you've just got to be so deliberate with what you're consuming, what you're putting into yourself, your body and mind, especially during hard times.
Yeah.
And laughter is the best medicine, as they say.
It really is.
All right, I'll unmute myself.
Jen, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for being here tonight. I really, really appreciate you carving out the time, and hope you'll, you know, have a restful rest of your week.
Thank you, Jenna. Caroline, just some great advice here. Here's something not to watch: the 11 a.m. government presser. That's a take that off your watch list.
So true, Caro.
I mean, you know, Jenna's already given us a bit of this, Brian. I know we've got, you know, just a few minutes left as well, guys. So if you do want to ask some questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. We're monitoring it. But, you know, what have you taken away from this experience? You know, not just the experience of going through cancer, but the experience also of writing about it and of hearing the stories of other people that have gone through it. What have been your biggest lessons?
It's a big question, and it's a great question. I think in terms of the cancer experience itself, I'll speak to that first. You know, and I write it in the book at the end. We spend, I think, an inordinate amount of time worrying about what other people think of us, and, you know, stressing about such trivial, unimportant things. And, you know, as Jen was just saying, there's nothing like a big shake up, wake up like this to, you know, when your energy is shortened anyway, and your bandwidth is shortened. Like, you just don't have capacity for it. So it's a good silver lining of you know, being in that situation. But just getting really clear about the sort of energy that you want to surround your life around. Like, so much of your life and how you feel and how you live each day is about the people that you spend the time with. So just getting really deliberate, I think, about that energy, knowing that there is literally always something to feel grateful for. I mean, there's so much, you know, I mean, what a week in news we've been seeing, you know, with the things that are unfolding in Afghanistan and Greece, and, you know, people just doing it so tough, things that we can't even comprehend. And I think, you know, whilst I say in the book, you know, it's okay to sit with your sadness, and you have to feel what you feel. You can't just suppress it all the time and going, oh, well, other people have it worse. Other people have it worse.
Yeah.
But I think looking at it within always that context of that bigger global perspective. You know, I remember going in for chemo, and I remember sitting beside a beautiful lady who was beside me in the chair, and she had a 2-month-old baby. And she was, she'd found out when she was pregnant that she had aggressive stage 4 breast cancer. So she'd had to start chemo while she was pregnant and then give birth while undergoing chemo. And I just thought, people out there are just doing it so tough, you know, and even on our worst, hardest days, they're still oftentimes better than a day anyone will ever experience. So I think always grounding yourself in that. And then, yeah, I mean, I think the experience of writing the book, it makes, you know, I suppose my message to everyone tonight would just be, you know, you get one life, just go for it. If you've got a book in you, if there's a creative project you want to do, or something you've always wanted to do, like, you don't have to blow up your life to do that. You can do it in little bits. You can get up and do the morning pages of a morning. You could, you know, find a choir that you want to join, like whatever it is, like just start, and just the starting creates momentum, and you don't know really where it will go. And then I think, you know, like there's obviously a strong message that comes through in the book about, you know, we get given this one precious body. So many of us, you know, myself included, I'm still learning, you know, with the guidance of Jenna, Marike, all my beautiful friends that have guided me through, you know, learning to rest properly and get enough sleep and look after this precious one body that we get given, you know, and I sort of finished the book up by talking about how I think how a lot of us are treating our body is really reflected in a macro sense in how we're treating our planet. You know, it's this very extractive relationship. How much can we get out of it? How much can we squeeze out? And it's not really working for the planet. It's not really working for us. So ultimately, I hope that in time we will find a way as a human race, as a species, to learn to listen more to our bodies, to our planet, and find a way to live more sustainably, you know. And I think looking to our Indigenous brothers and sisters who know this stuff and have been, you know, practicing it for tens and tens of thousands of years, I think there's so much wisdom to be gained there that we can learn from. So I think that's going from the micro to the macro thoughts.
But there's a connection there. There is a connection there. And I think, you know, all of that stuff that you're saying, it's, I just, you know, we're going into week 8 of lockdown here in New South Wales. And, you know, I think it is really important to be reminded of those things, right? I think it is really important to kind of, to have those perspectives and to kind of, you know, be able to kind of make that link between the micro, as you say, and just like the kind of the greater world that we live in. I just want to make a note that Alison here has a question. So this might be a very good question to end on. Will Briony write another book?
I've got lots of ideas. No, not I always do. A dear a day, Briony, as my sisters call me. But yes, I do hope to write another book. So look, you know, I wrote the last one in lockdown, so maybe it's a good indication to begin.
Can you give us a little bit more information? Can you reveal?
I got more than that. Might be a novel, might be a follow-up. You know, life is tough, but have you tried weaning yourself off coffee or something like that? But workshop it. I'll workshop it.
Yeah, maybe workshop it. I know that just before we wrap up, everyone, that there were a few people that you would like to thank, Bri, as well, because obviously there's it's a journey, and there's been people involved from the beginning, and you know, really provided support there for you. So go ahead. Who would you like to thank?
Well, yeah, there's so many people, you know, that need thanking. And in the book, in the thank yous, I've signaled people out specifically. But tonight, I just wanted to firstly say a huge thanks to the entire team at Murdoch that made this book happen. So Lou, who we heard from earlier tonight, thank you for, you know, getting behind this idea from the very get-go and turning it into a reality for me and supporting it the whole way through. And it's been lovely to get to know you better in the last few weeks as the book's been coming out and keeping me updated on how it's going and tracking. And yeah, so thank you so very much. Also to Kelly, who joined us tonight. Kelly, you know, from that very first conversation that we had on the phone when you called and you just said, I've just watched your video and I've shared it with all my family and I've just been watching it and just been in tears, and I just felt such a connection to you straight away, and we just hit it off, and I just knew that I, you know, wanted to sit down and create this book with you. I felt very safe, and so thank you for giving me the confidence that I could write this book as well from the get-go. Yeah, it's been a joy to work with you on it. Sue Boberman, I think Sue's on the line. She, I don't know if you've had a chance to see me on the project recently or in the morning show or like in basically every Australian publication. That is the amazing superhuman that is Sue Boberman, who has just absolutely blitzed it. So thank you, Sue. You've been incredible. Virginia at Murdoch, who was my editorial manager, so that's the person who oversees the editing of the whole book. It was just such fun working with you, and thanks for taking on board all my notes and helping us make it happen. And Melody, who is my copy editor. Melody's on tonight. So she's the person who takes all the things that I've written and is like, wow, it's been a while since Briony was at school and doesn't necessarily remember high school English lessons. Thanks, Mrs.
That's not where a semicolon goes.
Yeah, what even is a semicolon, you know? Still don't know, but thanks, Melody, for turning my words into something that, you know, would pass the test. And yeah, the design team, Christy, Trisha, and Suzanne, who just, I mean, I'm just so over the moon with how the book looks and feels, and it's exactly how we wanted it to feel, to feel really beautiful and inviting. I can see on the line, sorry guys, just a few more thank yous, because I want to thank each and every one of you that's on the call, really, and for joining us tonight, for supporting the book, for buying the book, for sharing about the book. It's just been incredible. To my mum and dad, Denise and Anthony, who are on the line, and they've got puppies with them by the looks, so our newest additions to the family. Thank you for just holding my hand every step of the way through this journey, and through the book as well. You've really lived that with me as well. And my beautiful sisters, Molly and Rihanna, the twins. Molly, who's on here tonight, she's been fixing up my slides this afternoon and scheduling the Zoom. And I shared in the book that Rihanna was the first person to share an excellent inappropriate joke with me when I first got diagnosed. So thanks, Ree, for always keeping it fun and playful. And to the beautiful Bill Manos, who is a dear friend and mentor of mine, who is on the line. Hi, Bill, can see you there. Thank you so much for your support of me always and your wise guidance. And Bill was one of the first people to read the manuscript and just gave me such confidence. I remember you saying, Bill, did you just write this? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't copy paste it from the internet, but meaning that he was just so proud of it and impressed with it. And it gave me a real lift at the beginning, Bill. So thank you. Dale Beaumont's not on the line tonight, but he sends his apologies. But he's been incredibly amazing helping me get a website up and work out how I can, you know, start doing speaking and all other things. So thank you, Dale, for your incredible support. And Claire Gerber, I think Claire's on the line. I saw her pop in before. My amazing work wife from Mamma Mia. Claire's the superhuman who actually first edited the video and put it together. And it was thanks to Claire and her magical editing that actually my story got out and reached people, and the team at Murdoch saw it. So thank you, Claire Bear. And Amanda Latia, you're on the call. Thank you for all your guidance and sharing with me what had helped you, that I had helped you with. That was really helpful to feed back into the book, and all your guidance on design. Marike, we spoke about you earlier in the night. Thank you for all your creative counsel, and just for, as I said, getting me started by reigniting my love of writing. It's all thanks to you. And to my beautiful partner, Dan, who I met actually through the Cancer Connections, through the cancer world, who's just been such a huge support through and sharing this period with me. To find someone who's genuinely so stoked for your successes has been amazing. So it's been lovely to share this time with you. And then the last person I'd just love to thank is you, Jan. Thank you so much for giving up your time tonight to be here and bring your joy and your lightness and your humor when you're so busy and have had such a massive week launching your show. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's such a pleasure from my end. I think, everyone who's probably on this call feels the same way that I do, which is immensely proud and so happy that you're not just on the other side of your illness, but that you're thriving from it, and that this book is out in the world. And I really think that it's gonna, people are gonna benefit so much from this, because it is such a wonderful ray of sunshine. So you've thanked everyone. A big thank you to you for putting it out in the world, and thank you to everybody who joined us here tonight on the call. I wish we could have done it in person. It is what it is. It was lovely having you here regardless. So thank you for being here, and thank you to Bri.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Wonderful to see so many people that are so important and special to me in my life, and I love you all so much. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, and feel free to leave now without being publicly shamed for it. You've got the permission. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for your lovely messages, everyone.